Hi, this is Straight Talk, and you have Roger Smith here. My guest today is Junior Blake. Junior has an interesting take on collectivism. We share a WhatsApp group, and every now and again I hear the term, and I'm really, really interested in finding out what it was all about. So, without further ado, let me introduce Junior Blake. Junior, how you doing, sir?
Yes, I'm well, man. How are you?
Good, good, good.
Yeah, yeah, it's my pleasure to do it again.
No, no problem, no problem. So, Junior, this is the first time we met, it was about get to know you, but this time it's more about some things that you spoke about in a WhatsApp group. I just want to peel the layers down and see what I can find. So, I have 5 questions for you, and and I just want to read the questions out and just hear what your answers are, and take your time, nice and relaxed. So, the first one is. What are the fundamental principles of your version of collectivism, and how do they differ from a traditional European style of governance?
Well, collectivism is an ancient social, political, psychological, social philosophy. Something that I cannot take credit for, but yeah, if I were to design a governance system, yeah, then I would take perhaps craft it in such a way that it sustains the particular system that I would be working with. But basically, the idea behind collectivism is that it structures the human economy in a way to ensure the optimal well being of every single human being within any given ambit of human existence inside a particular system. And of course, in order to do that, we need to understand the definition of economics. The definition of economics is that economics is about the state or condition of relationships between individuals and among social entities. Could be a nation, a state, a community, whatever it is. So, we're not using the European definition of economics here. We have to understand that. And of course, when we talk about collectivism here, I want to emphasize that because we are looking for an indigenous notion of human maintenance and development. Basically, what we're doing, we're going to our ancestral way of life. So our ancestors lived a particular way, and they lived successfully. Unfortunately, the Western system, in order to impose dominance, has rendered our way of life and our history and culture and tradition as obsolete. It's not. It's just as relevant as it was when Africans ruled the world. You see, and so we have to bring that back into our consciousness as we, pay attention to what we're dealing with here. So basically, what collectivism does, it simply makes sure that everybody in our society are able to be the best they can be. And our well being is engendered by the presence in our life of happiness, of joy, of dignity, peace, security. And of course, when we talk about security, think about health, think about food, shelter, clothing, think about the strength and support of family, community, that kind of thing. Um, these are the kind of, we need order in our lives to make us well. We need hygiene, good hygiene. In other words, if we have good hygiene, then we'll be healthy psychologically, socially, and just basic healthy. Will our basic health would be okay. That's how we need to function as human beings, and that is what we want to establish through the practice of collectivism.
Eh, uh, 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 While you were talking, a quick question came to my mind. if Cuba wasn't frozen out the way they were, would you say that their form of governance could be described as a form of collectivism?
No, it wouldn't be. Cuban is a communist state, and basically, Cuba imitated the Marxist-Leninist version of governance. You see,
Okay.
so basically, and in fact, that is why they got into trouble with the rest of with the United States and the rest of the Western world, because they expropriated people's property. If you remember correctly, and that is that's a communist practice, and basically, when you talk about communism, once again, one of the most important thing about collectivism is that its basis is spirituality. The basis of both communism, socialism, capitalism is materialism. It's a big difference.
Okay. My next question is, how does your model, or the way you see a model, address Jamaica's unique cultural, social, and economic challenges, such as the subculture of violence that we know is prevalent in Jamaica?
And that's a great question because let's put it this way. If I were in the leadership of Jamaica's government, I wouldn't even pay any attention to crime. And when I say I wouldn't pay any attention to crime, not that it's not important, but in terms of, I've seen some discussions, especially on the platform you referred to, about all the things people need to do for crime. All those things that they're talking about, all these things have been done for many, many years. You know? So, for example, in collectivism, one of the main things we need to do, we need to stop warehousing human beings in the institution known as prisons.
Prison.
Yeah, that's something that never existed in traditional African society, in our ancient African
What would you
society.
do with the bad
Yeah,
people?
yeah. Well, the whole point is you shouldn't have bad people, and if you do, if you're going to warehouse people and put them back into society, why take them out in the first place? You understand me? So if you're going to rehabilitate people, they ought to be rehabilitated in a social context. Why do you take away a father from his family and children and put him in a place and leave them out there to struggle? Because I don't know of any system in Jamaica that supports a family when the father has gone to jail. You understand me?
So
Um,
how do you?
and
Go
then
ahead.
why do
Sorry.
you rob that man of the emotional support of a family in a place where the conditions are hellish, you know? And then at the end of a certain amount of time, you turn him back loose into society. In my mind, you're promoting crime.
That's a very interesting way you put it. I didn't see where you were going there, but I do understand. But now I have to go and ask, what payment, if any, should someone do for perpetrating a crime?
Yeah, what it should whatever whatever the response is, it should be appropriate for the particular crime.
So if he killed,
So
what would you say? If he killed someone, what would you?
yeah, if well, I'll just share this with you. In my mind, society has to decide if a person is worthy of remaining in society or not. If a person is worthy of remaining in society, in other words, let's say the act that led to the murder, it has been determined that you know whatever it was a reasonable cause or act or whatever it is, and this person it can be rehabilitated. This person is remorseful. This person wants to be a better person, so forth, so on. Then, in my mind, you have to offer that person rehabilitation. If a person is so murderous that society can no longer bear him or her, in my mind, such a person ought to be ostracized, and
Okay.
ostracization might even mean execution. You know, but to me, if a person isn't going to be useless to society, then such a person is not worthy of remaining in the society. You have to remove them from the society in some kind of way.
Okay. Interesting. What steps do you think are needed to transition from where we are now in Jamaica to the level of collectivism that you're talking about? And how would you ensure, getting public support for this process?
Well, I have a little statement I make from time to time. I say that the solution is in the curriculum. You might have heard me, or you might have read that statement from me, you know. And basically, uh, we recognize, and that's the reason why we talk about being indigenous in our appeal. What it is that self-study is critical, and self-study will reveal that we have particular interest, self-interest that we need to promote. So these are the ideas that we need to bring to the fore. And in order to bring that to the fore, we need a particular system of education that will address our own needs. You see, what all of us have been subjected to is a colonial education. When I say the word colonial education, I don't know how deeply it sinks into people's psyche, but what a colonial education is that you have a colonizer who insists on controlling you, and therefore he trains you to function in the manner that he or she desires. You see? So as long as your behavior is desirable to your colonizer, he or she is happy. So the training, which people call education, is what we witness all the time. So what it is, if we can recognize what the challenges are, then we need to create the antidote. And this is where the main thing come in. So what we need is a re-education of our people. We need a curriculum to do it, and the curriculum should be, or the source of the curriculum should be reliance on our ancestors' tradition. And of course, in out of this thing, we will begin to identify one of the main requirements for indigenousness as understanding. People say overstanding. No, we're saying inner standing because we need to focus on the inner self. That's the distinction between ancestral thought, ancestral philosophy, ancestral tradition, and the colonial Western tradition. Colonial Western tradition, as in an earlier interview, we spoke about exoteric versus esoteric. So what we want to do is to focus on the in, and therefore, when we talk about the kind of practices, the kind of philosophies, the kind of spiritualism we need to bring to our people, here comes meditation, here comes visualization, here comes imagination as the guiding processes of our creativity and the sparking of our intellect. You understand? So what it is, it's difficult for us to do that now because we have been so trained in the slave master system, and we so believe that the system makes us more like our slave master, and the slave master is someone that we worship, that we adore. So because we adore the slave master, we tend to want to emulate the slave master.
How are
We
you going to get
have
the
to
public to support you?
say it again.
How are you going to get the public to support?
Yeah, well, what you have to do, you have to bring an education system to them. You have to begin to educate them. Let me give an example. When Michael Manley was Prime Minister of Jamaica, he was able to impress a philosophy, a notion of selfhood on a large percentage of Jamaica's population in a very short time. You see, and of course, through his his charisma and his ability to communicate well, he was able to do that. And this was just over the airwaves. It wasn't even inside of an educational system. There's another very important individual in Jamaican society, Jamaican history, Walter Rodney. Walter Rodney, while a professor at the University of the West Indies, he used to do some side work. At that time there were among, in addition to Walter Rodney, there was a group of lecturers, professors, and even students at the University of the West Indies who would go out into the community and teach. So even on in the banks of of the what you call it, the banks in the various community, um, you know, that they would have people would sit down and listen to training, teaching from these individuals who would tell people about their history, their culture, help them to have a little bit more knowledge about who they are and what their responsibilities are in society. As a result of that, you see in Jamaica, you see in the music, in reggae music, Walter Rodney had a very strong influence on the messages that came out in progressive reggae music in those days. So I'm just saying that given an opportunity and given the resources, uh, there are ways and means of bringing this information to uplift and to transform our people, because that's what the work is all about. It's all about a transformative or revolutionary transformatory process. That's basically what it is that we need to implement.
Okay. So, how would this model handle economic inequality and promote sustainable development in Jamaica?
And this is what, remember, we said that what we want to do, we want to make sure that the welfare of every single citizen is taken care of. You see, and bef- just to preface that, I want to say this to you, that in any given society, and the word I use the word society here carefully, because there's a difference between a society and just a collection of people. Um, but in any society, there is an understanding of reciprocal responsibility amongst human beings. You see, so in a system, this is the basis of collectivism, is that everybody's interest is important. There is no segregation of interest, which is what democratic systems suggest, where they're saying the majority rules. In collectivism, there's no such thing as a majority. In collectivism, you have one. Everybody becomes one. African people are struggling with the concept of unity, and we're struggling with the concept of unity because nobody has offered the African race a reason to be one. So just look at how Jamaica is governed. You tell me how we're going to go forward when Parliament is based on having the opposition and the leadership. So, and I remember Norman Manley said that the duty of the opposition is to oppose. So even when the leadership come with a good idea, you must oppose it
Right.
because you are in opposition. So you see how stupid the system is
Yep.
and
Yep.
how it keeps us back.
Wow. It's funny when you put it in black and white. Now you can see why the leader of the opposition does what he does. That's his
Yes,
job.
yes,
So
just to oppose.
yeah, even if things are going well,
Yes, even when the government comes with a good idea, we're
just
gonna
kill it.
oppose it. Yeah,
Wow, wow,
kill it.
wow.
And as well, you saw it even you see Trump pull the same thing against Biden on the border. When Biden came up with a good move for the border, democracy says don't support it. because if he gets that kudos, it's gonna subtract something from our value. So yeah, he immediately issued the order to his team: don't vote for it. Okay, you understand? So this is the
Yep.
kind of thing you see in democracy versus in collectivism. So, for example, in Jamaica, if you had a collective system, one of the first thing you have is a unicameral parliament, and in that parliament, no party would rule. Rulership belongs.
What countries are practicing this now, or is it just a
At this
thought?
point in time, we're using the British system, the bicameral parliament.
No, no, no. Sorry,
So,
collectivism itself.
yes. Yeah,
Is it practiced anywhere?
yeah, you have little semblances of it practice in a few places. I think perhaps the closest place is probably in Malaysia. Yeah, I think that's the closest. Yeah,
Okay, okay, cool.
but really and truly, most systems in the world are imitating the American system. Most if you can't describe your system as democratic, nobody's happy with you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and and they will kill your feet as well if you
Yes.
call it anything else. Yeah,
Yeah. Remember, Michael Malley called his socialism democratic socialism.
that's
It
right.
didn't help. It didn't help at all.
Yeah. How does collectivism preserve or enhance democratic participation and civil liberties compared to the current Babylonian system?
Well, I want to take out the democratic thing out of it and just just take off a democratic thing, just say civil liberties, just say so forth, so on. But once again, in collectivism, let's apply collectivism to basic lifestyle. Okay, and in a basic lifestyle, what you're doing in collectivism is that you're building from the bottom up rather from the top down. The system we have right now is a top down system. You have the elites, and then they filter down. But what it is, because you're so concerned, you're gonna build from the babies up.
Right.
Okay, and in a community, the welfare of the family would be the key thing. And of course, we know a collection of families make a community. And so, in terms of governing, you'd build your system like that. So you have a community management system, and then you have a collection of communities, like in Jamaica in particular. We have a collection of communities that form a parish, and then you have a collection of parishes that form what we call a county. You understand me? And then you have three counties that make the nation. You understand me? So you build your management system from bottom up. And the responsibility of leadership inside the family, is mommy and daddy. And then, of course, as the village comes together, you'll identify a system whereby that community has a way of managing the affairs of the community, and everybody um, would be required to honor that particular organization, and then the communities would come together, because what it is that everybody has a common interest. The common interest will definitely focus more on the area in which you live, when you're in the smaller units, and then the word that is critical in collectivism is cooperation. You'd find a way to cooperate with your neighbors, because that's what an economy is. An economy is about the quality of the relationships that you build in the family, amongst the members of the family, in the community, amongst the families, in the thing, amongst the various villages in the parish, and then when you come to the county, how the communities relate to each other. You see those kind of practices utilized even in the capitalist and the socialist systems. But these are the kind of things that you would build into your system, so that we begin to organize and order our people. And the reason why we want to do that is because we are harnessing the power of every single person
Person,
in the in the community.
people
We
power.
want to make sure that everybody's energy is invested in everything that is going on, and that everybody benefits from whatever is going on. So reciprocity is a key principle in collectivism as well. Mhm. And if you build that up. So once again, take for example crime. You had mentioned crime before. So the most important, the responsibility for crime in the community would be the community association. And the community association would now put pressure on the family of the criminal. You understand me? So that we begin to have accountability for everybody in a community. You see, what it is, we have a society in which so many people have been allowed to fall through the cracks that we no longer have accountability for so many of our people. You understand me? Because nobody is paying attention to the welfare of some of the people. You know, if you don't have ambition and that kind of stuff, you don't get featured at all. The people who, for whatever reason, are not assertive are left behind. And hence we end up with the various kind of social challenges that we have. We have to engage everyone. That's the whole idea of collectivism and the practice of cooperation.
How would you introduce collectivism when the incumbent teething political system would obviously fight it because it's different? So how would you address that?
Yes, and once again, you begin with social education. You begin with establishing little
Grassroots.
grassroots. There you go. Grassroots cells and begin to teach. And that is very easy to do. I've done that my own self in Jamaica before.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. Now, I just want to pivot a little bit to my favorite question or scenario, and I want to hear your view about this. So, there's a red pill and a blue pill. You can be a Democrat and a Republican. Why is it, as a black man, if you choose the red pill or say you're going to vote Republican, vote for Donald Trump, why is it people think you've betrayed your race? I'll tell you about myself. I don't look at politics and my life as a line wherein to the left it's blue and to the right it's red. I look at life it's more spherical, you know. I'm a free thinking guy. I don't believe in an imaginary friend in the sky. But at the same time I know there's a power. We're in some sort of computer simulation. Something's going on that's bigger than us. I know that, but I won't call it a name. So for me personally, there's so much that makes who I am. Why would you just think that if I wasn't for A, I must be for B and for the same reasons as you? What is it about us why we feel as a group we must all do the same thing?
Well, one thing I think is wrong about what you're saying is that we think we're acting as a group. In this country, black people don't act as a group. You know, I mean, we act as individuals. So that's one of the thing after.
Wait. But you said we act as individuals. I think they act as a group. Most
No,
black people think you should be voting Democrat because you're black.
yes, but remember that's a new idea. So that brings me to the next part of my answer, which is the fact that we and I think both of us are in the same situation. Both of us are migrants, and a lot of immigrants in this country are not very familiar with the history of the United States of America. And so we do not understand the blue line, red line thing. We don't understand the difference, or we don't understand what it really means. Because really and truly, this black people Democrat thing is a pretty recent thing. It's new, you see. And really and truly, we don't understand the kind of choices we are making. Because when I came to this country in 1973, there was the Democratic Party were still the rabid racist, lynching party. The people who insisted that black people should not get any benefits or anything. The people who are
Are
fighting
these
against it.
liberals? Are these liberals you're calling Democratic Party that are
No, no,
racist?
this business about liberal and conservative and all that stuff is foolishness, you know. You see,
Okay.
so once again, miseducation causes us to be confused by that stuff. And once again, one of the reasons why we are taking those positions because we don't have a position of our own. You see, so basically, if we were a collective entity, what we would have established is our ethnic interests, the common interests that are our ethnic interests. We'd say this is what we want. What's happening now is what other people want us to do. And so whatever little carrot they can put on the thing and and dangle in front of us, they can get us to follow this. Or what they do in the system is that they identify a leader who we respect and get that leader they buy that leader and get that leader to come and present to us and say, hey, I support this because of so and so and so. Even though we're not getting any benefits from our vote, because that's a big problem. Black people do not benefit from our vote. We do not recognize that our vote is currency. And we do not know that in order to benefit from in order to strengthen our currency, we must aggregate it, we must bring it together in one bundle and leverage that bundle of vote. So when somebody comes and says they want us to vote for them, we should say, okay, what is it you have to offer us? Or you should be able to say, this is what we want for our vote. If you were to go to the store, Roger, and give the store owner $1, and the store owner say, "What you want?" I said, "Boy, I want some ice cement." And he said, "Well, I don't have any, you know." What would you expect the store owner to do?
Offer something else.
Well, I'll give you back your dollar.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right. Yeah. So in this country, what we do, we go out and vote for all kind of things without any benefit for it because we did not make a deal before we vote. Every other community does that. When they go to
But
when they, eh?
but mine and your color is one discrete element of who we are.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You may be a
And
Christian, you may be a rabid Christian. A man like me, you know, want hear them something, them, you know, want no prayer in a me yard, me no want all them things. That's me. We all have things that have certain amount of weighting in our life that means something to us. And what means a lot to you may not mean nothing to me.
yes, but
I'm,
not
I'm
in and that's why we use the word common interest.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So Ice
So
Cube,
for
you remember
example,
Ice Cube had this thing, sorry to cut you. Ice Cube had this thing, Contract for Black America, wherein he spoke about sons and daughters of slaves, like me and you. Not the LGBTQ, trans, Asian American, Jew, and all these other groups. It was just for us. And he basically, I mean, it needs to be polished up a little bit, but the thought of it was a contract for black Americans. And he was going to shop it to both parties and garner votes. And that's the way I think we should be going,
there you go.
rather than listening to the blue side. The blue side way in when all manner of bad things was happening to us under them. If you understand
Yes,
what I
and,
mean.
and on both sides.
Yeah. So
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. So basically, that blue red thing, I think it was created especially for us.
okay, okay.
Yeah. So basically, we have to get around that, and the way to get around it is just like I said about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is willing to make a deal. You know, we have to understand that when it's time to vote, we must make a deal before we vote. What am I going to get for my vote? Just like when I said go to the shop, you get a man $1, I cement more want. You don't walk out of the shop and leave him with your $1. You know, that's what we do with our vote. We go
Yes,
to the
yes.
machine and we vote and walk away and say, okay, let me see what happened now. No, You must know that when you vote, you're going to get a road. You're going to
But
get a
why?
scholarship to your
But
child.
what? So you knowing how the Babylon system set right now, you as a black man now wants to ostracize me because I made a vote, knowing damn well that the other side do know better. One a Popeye's chicken, one a KFC. Which one? None of them know better, you
There you
know.
go.
But
Yeah.
but you know, I shame me. A young lady look at me and says, "What kind of a black man could vote Republican?" And I'm thinking to myself, take the Republican them out of the argument. Me listen to the Indian lady. I mean, I hear a thing. I haven't heard anything. No manifesto, nothing. So I'm just saying that. You know what? I don't want to draw you out on your political bias or whatever, but we have
No,
some.
I'm not. I have no bias. You have a
Okay.
bias.
Okay. No, no. Hey, remember, me vote blue 4 times already, you know. One time I go already, you know. Four, you know what I mean? The thing with me is I'm not a diehard supporter of any.
Well, what I'll tell you right now with me is that I don't vote. And one of the reasons why we used to vote is because we said, boy, we want to honor our ancestors, you know. Our ancestors fight for this right, you know. But basically what I've discovered is that this right is worthless. You understand me? So basically what I'm saying, we need to make this right worthwhile. And when we make it worthwhile, then I can start voting. And my thing is, give me something from a vote. That's basically all I ask for. You know, I'm saying if I'm getting something from a vote, anybody who give me something to my vote, and some people will say that you're crazy, you're wicked, because I am even saying if Donald Trump come to me right now and give me the right amount of money for myself, I said,
Yeah.
Donald, I need X amount of dollars to run my business, you know. And he say, yeah, here's it. I say, okay, I vote for you, no problem.
Well, in
You know,
Jamaica, that's how
so
they do it
people
as
say,
well, you know.
people,
In
people say,
Jamaica,
I sell your vote. I say, I
eh,
will.
eh, in Jamaica, them full up a minibus, you know, and everybody had 10 bills them get. So, you know,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
that's great. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, those
You,
people are smart. At least I
yeah,
get
yeah,
something for
yeah,
them vote, you know.
yeah. Plate of food, you know. I got one more question for you, Junior. When you go to Jamaica and you see the pretty roads and you see them trying, but the underbelly of the infrastructure, the sewage pipes, the lack of fiber, water, fiber, electricity, under the roads and whatever, and you see people that sell produce, fruits and vegetables on the old main, but no, the new main road, the new toll roads are coming up. How do
The
you how do you
highways.
yeah how do you feel about that transition and how it's affecting the people at the middle to lower socioeconomic part of the ladder?
The entire the entire ladder and the socio-economic scale. Listen, they have this notion that by putting certain kinds of infrastructure in place, that they are modernized in Jamaica, and I think they have a modernization plan. I think they call it 2030 something. That, that by 2030 they want the nation to look a particular way. And earlier you asked me about the crime question. You know, um, once again, they are paying attention to the material side of life without dealing with the spiritual needs of our people. So, for example, in terms of infrastructure development, uh, one of the challenges in Jamaica is that Jamaica is a very disorderly society. Jamaica is a society that's absent of leadership. And the absence of leadership shows up, especially in the places where I am suggesting collectivism would put leadership. At the small areas, the lower levels in society. I'm talking about like leadership in the family, leadership in the community, leadership in the parish, so forth, so on, as opposed to having this big person up top that we call leader, and everybody have great expectations of this leader, and yet the leader cannot deliver all the expectations of the people. So what they do, they create all kinds of illusionist ideas to trick the people and to trap the people into thinking that something is happening for them. So basically, when they look at so-called metropolitan countries where you have big highways and things, when Jamaican people see that there are highways being built in the country, they say, "Oh yeah, Jamaica is coming forward. Now we can travel from Kingston to Mandeville in half an hour, or that kind of stuff." Yeah, all of that is good, but I would have preferred if they would abandon corruption and put the resources in places where it's more meaningful. For example, one thing I mentioned earlier is that in terms of looking at human security in our society, health is a critical element. You know, I mean, if you just take a little moment and look at healthcare in Jamaica, and if you have even a slight idea of how Jamaican people are suffering because of poor health care, you ask me, why is it that nobody in the leadership in Jamaica has devised a system of building one or two or three good hospitals in the country for all the years that they have been in power? You see what I'm talking about?
When you say they're in power, one party has been in power for like 9 years, but another one had it for 18 and a half and four more. So,
There you go.
so I
But
hope,
but
so I hope I hope throwing words at one and not the other.
no,
Okay,
both of
okay,
them had more than enough time to
I
deal with
agree.
such a project. If you can get roads, why can't you? If you can get all of these, you know how expensive those roads are. Why can't you come up with a plan to get a hospital? That's what I'm saying is that our priorities are
Yes,
skewed.
yes.
We off base. So I'm not impressed with that. Even though when I go to Jamaica, I'll tell you that I am happy that I can travel on some of the decent roads. But basically, as far as I'm concerned, when I look at the model for development, it doesn't impress me at all. Yes.
Okay.
And I've seen some of the discussions around some of the local roads. I mean, now they're doing some road work in Montego Bay and all that kind of stuff. But I remember back in the days, back in the 60s and 70s, you know, how traveling in Jamaica was on those A1 roads. It was very comfortable.
Yes, yes. And honestly, you'd stop at a rum bar and have a refreshment. You'd
Yeah,
get some shrimps. You'd buy some sugar cane. You'd actually enjoy stopping to eat fish and bami. You'd stop
yeah,
and
yeah. You'd enjoy the journey.
yes, 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 yes.
I
It's
mean,
changed.
no, no, no. I mean, listen. Not only that, when we talk about the big roads, remember, not everybody in Jamaica can drive on them.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because I know when I'm driving out of Kingston, I head into the highway, I see everybody going to the right, and just I think a trickle of people going to the left.
Yes, yes.
you
Serious
know?
thing, serious thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow. Hey Junior, I'm really happy that you were able to let us know about collectivism. I've been hearing and I wanted to hear from the man, and I'll be anytime you drop something in the WhatsApp group I'm gonna sure about. I'm gonna be here to call you and talk about it because that's what I'm about. I just wanna have comfortable, relaxing conversations with people about these topics. So thank you very much for blessing the forum, sir.
My pleasure, man.
All right.
We look forward to doing it again. Yeah, man.
No
And
one.
keep on doing the good work you're doing, and
Thank you,
keep
man.
on prodding. Keep on prodding.
May I make trouble? May I make trouble? That's what I'm about. Thank you.
I
All
know,
right.
I know. My elder friend enjoyed Anton.
Yeah, 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 yeah. All right, boss.
All right,
Oh,
bless.
yeah.